Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. So picking a smartphone is getting very difficult. At least for me it is, because having all the options to choose what I want is getting kind of tight. And the reason it's getting tight is because phones are getting better. Now the OnePlus 6T is amongst us and you will see coverage on that. But for now, we're on the eve of the OnePlus 6T. It's late in the evening and I want to show you two phones that I've been rocking with daily since having each one of these, and I'm really enjoying it. So the Pixel 3 for some reason catches a lot of heat, and the OnePlus 6T gets a lot of love. Well, having both of them in hand, I gotta tell you, I'm impressed with both. There are some things that I like on the Pixel, and there are some things that I like on the OnePlus 6. There's some things that this does a heck of a lot better, and there's some things that this does better at, in my opinion. So in this video, I want to compare them side by side and just kind of briefly talk about it and show you some things that these things can do and what they're doing for me right now currently. So the design of both of these phones is completely different. They take on different design elements as far as looks, size, everything. One's small and one's big. Now I very well could compare the OnePlus 6 to the Pixel 3 XL, but I don't have that, and I chose not to get that phone. Something about it I just didn't like it, and good thing for me, Google sent me over the Pixel 3 to review, and I'm excited about that. So the Pixel 3 to me is the perfect size smartphone. Even though I have larger hands, the Pixel 3 is just a great size. You continuously can do one-hand things with this phone. You can text, its swiping gestures is really easy because it's so narrow and it's a 5.5-inch display. I think using this in daily use is much easier than using the OnePlus 6 because of the sheer size. And when I say that, I mean one-handed use. One-handed use. Yes, I can use both of these with two hands, but normally when I'm using this phone, it's all in one hand. Now with the OnePlus 6, I can use this at one hand, but it is a much bigger footprint and it's going to take a little bit more work. So that is where I prefer the Pixel 3 over the OnePlus 6, and the Pixel 3 for that matter over several phones out there, because there's not a lot of phones out there that can do what the Pixel 3 can do with cameras, and they're in that size of a device with that type of screen. Nonetheless, I really like this phone right here too. It's just a matter of size. I can feel this phone in my pocket, and the Pixel 3, even with the case, it doesn't seem like it's there. And so day-to-day use with this, yes, I can do some one-hand things, but even with big hands, you still have trouble reaching the top of the screen. And with the Pixel 3, that all goes away. Now, both of these phones are stock Android, but this is actually running a skin or a mild overlay. But one thing I'll say is this has 4 gigs of RAM and this has 8 gigs of RAM. This has 128 gigs of storage. This has 64 gigs of storage. This cost me $500. This would have cost me $800. That is where the OnePlus is winning. Even the new devices start with 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage, and they cost $550. So the OnePlus in the price category and on paper and tech specs, it definitely slaughters the Pixel 3. You appear to be getting much more, and you are getting much more. You also have a headphone jack on the OnePlus 6, and you got some much sexier and more beautiful colors. And I still think I have the best OnePlus 6 color ever. Now, the Pixel 3, it's not bad. It's just that I like this design, and if they would have come with like a red, Pixel, that just would have been so sweet. It just would have been fantastic. But they didn't, and we have to live with that. We have to live with the colors that they gave us. Now, the new OnePlus 6T only comes in 2 colors at the moment, but there's also going to be that hidden thunder purple color, and it's supposed to be a red OnePlus 6T as well. I don't know yet. But the Pixel definitely is offering you less, technically, and you're paying more. And I've said it before in a lot of videos, I'm trying to differentiate whether I want to spend at the max $500. And that's gonna try to do it for me. But with having both of these phones right now, I'm looking for a daily. I'm looking for a daily driver. Now, it's hard for me because I actually have 4 phone lines to myself. Yes, and I need them all. One is my personal line. The other one is business, and the other one is my Google Fi line, which I definitely use for business. And the other one is kind of like a tester SIM card. But for me, I switch it amongst several different phones, and I leave it in a phone for at least 3 weeks sometimes when I'm doing tests. But all the numbers are in rotation, and these are the main two that are in rotation. These two stay in rotation, one in each pocket at any given time. My other, I think I have five. Do I have five? No, actually I have, yeah, I've got four. Whew. Man, kind of hard to keep up with. Now, one of the phones stays on the desk. One of the iPhones stay on the desk. And calls come in on that phone a lot. So when I'm in the office up there, if I'm editing or doing something, that phone stays ringing all the time, 24/7. So it rings a lot during videos, but it's on vibrate when I'm shooting videos. But I'm at a place in my YouTube status and personal life, really, where I'm trying to find that one phone. And the dilemma that I've come across with both of these phones is I really like both. This phone is the perfect size, but it's pricey. This phone takes really good photos. This phone takes good photos and video. Really good photos. I mean, really good. This also records in 4K at 60 FPS. This does 60 frames per second, period. This one doesn't do it yet. I don't know if it will. It can though. And if they choose to give a software update like they did with the previous Pixels, all is resolved. I'm waiting for this phone to really come to life because it is an expensive phone. It starts at $800. And this is where I made a comment about the OnePlus. It's not really saying it's not really a flagship killer anymore. It's just a flagship. And someone said, no, Jay, you're wrong, because it still costs less than all these other flagships. And they're still offering more in the hardware department. And they're absolutely right. The OnePlus devices have always been good for offering more, but OnePlus is starting to slip. They're taking away things. And that is the reason why I hurried up and grabbed this while I could get it, because they actually took away the headphone jack. And I was watching MKBHD's video, and he said the reason they did that is because they needed to fit the bigger battery in there, and then they needed to do the in-screen fingerprint reader. So that was OnePlus reasoning for removing the headphone jack, according to MKBHD when he asked him. So why that's so, I don't know, but I'm kind of wireless, but I always keep these. These are my Sony headphones. These are the best headphones that I have in my catalog at the moment. But they're 3.5 millimeter headphones. They require to be plugged in. And there's no plugging into the Pixel. That's why this is a mixed bag for me, because the Pixel is such a great phone in my experience, regardless of what other people say, doesn't affect my experience. I feel like this is the right size for any user. Some users still might say that this is a big phone. Some people think that the iPhone 10 is still a big phone. And I say this because I ask questions to people and they say, oh, that phone's too big for me. I need to stick with a 6S. Well, this phone is about the size of a 6S, but you get a much bigger screen, or iPhone 7, iPhone 8, the smaller versions. But you get a 5.5 inch display on here, and it's an OLED display. This to me is a really complete package, but at the same time, this is a complete package. They're just missing some key features. So in essence, if I could have a smaller version of this phone, I know that sounds crazy. Shrink this phone down to about this size, flawless. I think it would be great for me. Because remember, every phone out there has an owner. And I really believe that you don't pick the phone picks you. And these two phones right here have chosen me, and they've gotten me locked in to where I can't put down one or the other. The iPhones always take a backseat to Android phones to me. It's just the way it is. And once I got this phone, and then I decided to buy this phone, I said I'm buying the 6T. Now I know that the 6T is not really much of an upgrade from this phone, but you do get a bigger battery. You still don't get any wireless charger or anything like that. It doesn't have an IP rating. You don't have a headphone jack on the 6T. You're pretty much getting the same phone with a bigger battery and an in-screen fingerprint reader. And they claim the screen is different as well. But the camera setup, everything is all the same. And the crazy part is, this phone is going to get all of the camera software that's on the 6T. So I'm telling you this, if you have a 6, There's really no need to get the 6T. There's no reason to get the 6T. Me as the reviewer, I want to experience all these things. So don't do what I do. Don't do as I do, you do as I say. Do not buy the 6T if you have the 6, unless, the disclaimer, unless you are selling your OnePlus 6 and getting the 6T. Now, T-Mobile has a program set up now where you can trade in your 6 and get $300 for it, bill credits towards the 6T. If you choose to do that, that's perfectly fine. But what I'm going to try to do is finally join the finance gang. I'm going to join you guys because I have phones on that list that I can trade in and get $300. Now, I talked to the store today and they said, hey, Jay, you can go ahead and trade it in. We'll level out $300 across your bill and your bill will only increase about $10 to $11. I thought, man, I don't want to do that, but I really want the 6T. And I've got a brand new Moto Z2 Force that I'm going to trade in. I've had that phone for a year. I only paid, see, the reason that that's a win for me is because I only paid $300 for the Moto Z2 Force, and now they're getting ready to give you $300 back, and they're going to spread that across my bill, unfortunately. However, I basically I'm giving it all back to them, and they're giving me back my $300, and they're just putting it towards another phone, and I think that's a major win. I don't know yet if I'm going to sell this phone. Probably not. The 6T is going to have to be fantastic to make me sell this. The color, everything, I really like it. But on the flip side of that, the Pixel 3 has proven to me to be great on battery. And literally when I say I carry two phones, these phones ring off the charts. Emails, all the same emails are coming in. I'm on this one, I'm on this one. Sometimes I have them side by side and I know it sounds crazy, but if you have more than one phone, you tell me if you do it too. Do you have both of your lines, like your iPhone in one hand and your Note in the other, or whatever you have, and there's just certain things that run better over here or certain things that run better over here? I think that there's a lot of Google apps that run better on iOS devices. And sometimes I have the iPhone running over here with this, and I have an Android phone running over here, like side by side. I know it's strange, but I know I'm not the only one that does that. I'm just one that's willing to admit it on camera, I guess. But I can't put this phone down, and I can't put this phone down. If you were to make me choose, there's no way I could pick one. Obviously, the size on this one is better, and I think the stills on this are awesome. Battery life on this one is fantastic. I went 38 hours with almost 6.5 hours screen on time, and now I just went 24 hours with almost 8 hours of screen on time. That's fantastic battery. Not quite doing that over here yet. It's more like 24 hours with 5.5 hours of screen on time or so. It's leveling out now. But these two phones are great, man, and it is very difficult to choose one. It's just very difficult. And comparing them is even more difficult because I really like them. They both do good on video and photos and everything, but this is the perfect size cell phone for me. You just ponder that for a moment. If you have the Pixel 3 and you like the size of it, raise your hand. Now, if you have the OnePlus 6 and you love the OnePlus 6, but you would rather have, you get where I'm going. I would love to have this phone at this size. I know that sounds crazy, but it's totally doable. But people like bigger screens. I like bigger screens. I got a phone that I just purchased that has the biggest display on a smartphone right now. Leave a comment down below if you think you know what it is. I purchased it with my own money. I couldn't get a review unit. Didn't even bother asking. Wasn't trying to. I just knew I wanted the phone. Shout out to TK because I know he knows what it is. Total Tech, by the way. That's TK. Total Tech Reviews. You know who he is. He says he wants that phone too. TK, I bought mine already. Bought mine this morning. Well, depending on when you're watching this, I bought it 24 hours. It doesn't matter. I bought the phone. So I like big phones. However, depending on where I'm going, I don't want a huge phone in my pocket. That's just me. It doesn't matter how big my hands are. This has been one of the toughest decisions to make on which one of these phones to put down. So if you notice, which phone did I put down? The iPhone XR. Had to take my SIM card out of that phone, man, because I had this phone kind of in my third SIM. No, I had it in my third SIM, and I moved it to the front SIM. I mean, this phone right here is my second SIM because it has my Project Fi. I love this phone. Love this phone. So I guess this wasn't really so much a comparison, it's just kind of a discussion on the reason I like both of these phones, man. They're both awesome, and it's very hard to choose between the two, so I'm going to continue to carry both. Now the 6T will come along, and I'm actually going to have to take my SIM card out of here and put it into the 6T because I'm going to have to start using that phone. And you know, this will just get my other, go back into like the no SIM card for a little bit, then I'll put my SIM card probably back in it. I don't know what I'll do. Or I might bump the iPhone on out of the way, because these phones definitely technically on paper offer more than the iPhones. And they run just as fast, if not faster than the iPhones. But still, I like the iPhone XR, so I think it's a great phone. But these two right here are definitely my top two phones right now. I know I like the Vivo Nex, but I got rid of the Vivo Nex to get this and the other phone. And then I got another Vivo Nex that's gonna come in. So I didn't ditch on the Vivo Nex. I just needed to make room for two phones instead of one. So it makes sense. The Vivo Nex is still a phone that I love, but the phones that I currently have in hand, these are the tops. So it's your man Jay Will. I'll see you guys in another video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Do you have both of these phones? Do you want both of these phones? Do you want me to give away these phones? That's not gonna happen. That was a joke. Do you have either one of these phones? What it is about your phone that you just can't put it down, that's gonna make you stick with it for about 2 years or so? And I always use that 2-year rule because that's what contracts used to be, and people didn't switch phones like that, and the companies relied on you heavily to pay your bill. And if you didn't pay your bill, they took a loss on the phone and your bill. And so now you're having to pay for your own phone and you're still having to pay your bill. So which one of these phones do you have? Do you have them both? Can you stick with one of these phones for 2 years? Let me know. It's your man Jay. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.